All right, it is now time for raising funds for World Domination, day number 286. So for today's update, there are once again no updates on the anticipated appeal of the N13 eviction that we won. So we won the case, and the N13s were dismissed on October 14th. And then later in November, the landlord stated an intention to appeal the case, but I still don't have any confirmation that they 100% did file an appeal. There is just one remaining sponsored block type available in the Shopify Store, so check that out before it's gone. And the last item is I published a long form video today. And that video was quite a bit of work. I guess in hindsight, it was basically all of January I worked on that, and the 4 days of February, and then I think it was the last week of December I also worked on it, and then I had to film. There was script writing and a few days of filming that I did back in the fall. So at least, yeah, at least like 6 weeks in total. But I think the result turned out right. Hopefully, the YouTube algorithm likes it, and then it actually gets some views. Orthoplex 64, how's it going? So in terms of content production, there's a few like random shorts videos and stuff that I had thought of that I might actually do just to get out of the way. But for now, I'm not gonna plan or get locked into anything time consuming for a little while. I'm gonna take it easy. What is the temperature? The temperature is 1. Thank you for asking. Let's see. So I guess we'll continue work tonight on the terminal block mining simulation game. So last night, I think I worked on some of the interface for launching the server, I think. All right, no exceptions. Let's test the multiplayer client. Make sure it still works. So the point of Susie Hersalot is to produce medical equipment as well as personnel trained in their production and maintenance. Yeah, that's what I think. I think if that was just a norm, like if there's a lot of traditions and structures and stuff in society that we don't really question. They're just like, it's the way things are. Boys generally play with fire trucks and stuff, and girls play with dolls. But what if it was a standard thing that like girls just built medical equipment, and then when you're young, adults would teach you how to build. I think you could probably start with, I don't know, glucose monitors and stuff like that, and then you'd learn how to do it, and you wouldn't question it, and then you'd become an adult, and you'd know how to build it from scratch, and then you wouldn't have to go through you wouldn't have to wait 500 years on a waiting list until you get more complications, and then go to a hospital and then get charged $300,000 for a checkup and become bankrupt. So for starters, I want to move the thread launching into the block manager thread collection class. Hi Robert, not staying. I just wanted to congratulate you on your latest video. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. I think you found your calling. Hope so. I hope it gets 10 billion views and brings in some revenue. Then I can actually finance the project. I'm kind of happy about how some of the scenes turned out. It's the lens, so like that main scene of me standing in front of the trees and with the red shirt and the jacket, like the one where you can see me up close. It's a telephoto shot. So the camera is probably like, I don't know, 100 feet away from where I'm actually standing. As like a general photography tip, telephoto images generally just they look better. But the challenge is, so my the lens I have, it's actually like a cheap lens I bought off eBay for like $45 for like $20 shipping or something from Japan, and the actually the adapter on it, I think I paid almost as much for the little ring adapter that adapts that lens to my camera, because it's an old lens and I had to get an adapter on it. And the key is there's no autofocus, so I have to manually focus the thing, and when I'm actually setting it up there, I can't actually tell. It's really hard to tell if it's even in focus. So for sometimes when I record it, then I like, I'll stand there talking for an hour, and then when I get back on the computer and look at it, I can tell that the focus ring is like just slightly out of focus. I actually on the video below in the my plans for world domination, for that one, it was a little bit out of focus. Like if I tweaked it, it probably would have moved the focal plane like about, I think it needed to be back like about 5 feet or something, and it would have looked a bit better. But that one seems to work out pretty well. That video resulted in the loss of one shirt. Actually one of the reasons that shirt is the original t-shirt I got back in 2012, and I had it was just in my drawer, and I did used to wear it randomly, and it's full of you can kind of tell from the video, it's full of lots of holes, and it had been just sitting in my drawer for years. I was like, I should probably throw this away because it's like completely beat up from the washing machine, and it's also getting really thin. And I thought, that would probably make for like good cinema, and especially because like Nvidia's so much in the media right now, and it's like it's the most valuable. I think it's the most valuable company in the world now or something. So instead of just throwing it in the garbage, I turned it into some entertainment. Sound design also, yeah. This actually that was quite a bit of work too. Aligning all the sound clips and stuff. For the intro scenes, those are all mostly, except for one of them, they're all in slow mo. So when it's in slow motion, I don't get at least this camera. in the slow motion mode, it doesn't record sound, so I have to separately record the sound. And then also, if I slow the sound down, it sounds weird. So some of the sound, it doesn't like match perfectly, but it's for a bunch of the scenes, I just took my audio recorder and I separately recorded sound. And then just played the sound back at normal speed, and it matched pretty well. I only have a rudimentary understanding of film, but I can tell it took a lot of work. Yeah, it honestly, I needed some exercise, so it was nice. It was pleasant, like even though it was pretty cold, it was pleasant to just go for a walk and look around for some birds and take some pictures and stuff. But it is it takes a ton of time. And then also with like all the AI stuff now, I'm sure people are gonna like accuse some of the scenes of being, like, obviously some of the pictures are AI, but more and more, like, it is so much work to physically go out to a place and then record. And now in the future, everyone's just going to say this is just AI, and there'll be no money in producing content anymore. AI is horrible. Strangely fits the aesthetic. Yeah, for the AI images, like there's lots of people that complain about my use of AI images. Actually, the AI images in the video, that might have been one of the most time-consuming parts of it. But people say just like they want to just hear me talking about stuff. But I need to actually illustrate what I'm talking about. Like the point of making the video is to like make a specific vision that I can show within it, even if it's like kind of a slop image. And some people are like, oh, just try drawing it from scratch. That's like, I can't, that would take way too long and I can't get the detail. Juxtaposition of natural scenes at the start with the AI. With the AI images is really, really something. Gives the whole video a bit of an eerie vibe. Interesting, an eerie vibe. That's not something I'd considered. But I guess if you're trying to come up with plans, how are you going to communicate your plans? Ideally, it'd be like real. I'd have real. I can actually hire an artist to do all that art, but that would take like 6 months and tens of thousands of dollars. Like a dystopian vibe. We live in a dystopia. Not knocking AI. I understand you need to use it. I wish the people commenting about it would think about what they would do in the same situation. Yeah, I think there are definitely some. There are some like really good use cases. Like I don't care what anyone says. It's just way too useful to use AI for this stuff. Like especially for those for a lot of those like graphics and stuff. Like where I was like, hey, I want to have like a title that says like with the things about housing construction, the calculations and titles for that. Like I just want to have a good looking title for something that's kind of nice graphic design. So I could just ask the AI. I'll just ask it 5 different times to do that, to do a title for me, and then I look at them and pick the best one. And that absolutely saves me time, and it's a better quality result. I can see how it's Siri. Intro has this muted property, shifts the tone for the rest of the vid, but it gets more lighthearted and trashy with the AI imagery. Yeah, I think it's I guess that it makes sense with the intro, but I think it works. We'll see if it gets a bunch of views. It'd be nice if it was another win video. But I'll love to be able to afford artists for projects, just not possible. Yeah, I actually hired an artist for some stuff. And I mean, the other big thing is the artist takes time. So like you have to go back and do iterations and stuff. And television says, ha 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 ha. Moo ha ha ha. Super good. Makes me respect Mr. Elder even more. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, hopefully there's hopefully someone will also be influenced by some of those ideas. I think there's a couple good ideas in there to make some of those cafes and some of the aesthetic. Actually, should make some on-demand printed Axel Heiberg shirts available. You might sell a handful. Yeah, people have suggested on occasion I make some various kinds of shirts and stuff. But the big problem is just like just getting some sales volume for it. I already have a merch store, but the ability to actually, like, I would probably make like $50 or something. So it's probably not even until I can demonstrate more sales revenue from my existing products and services. And I guess if I could also get views up a bit more. I think I've had my max is around, like, I don't know, 1 million or 1 million or 2 million views in a month. But right now, views are down pretty low. They're like 500 or 600,000 last month. I'm really disappointed that I wasn't able to get the Merchant Center approved, so I can actually advertise on YouTube. Never approved it. Google has some kind of magical. So they do like a first pass, so that it's confusing. So I signed up with Shopify because Shopify has an integration that will make your items that show up in your Shopify store, so that Shopify store in the link at the top there, those items will get automatically synced into Google Merchant Center. So I add the items into Shopify, it sends them to Google Merchant Center, and YouTube can connect and pull from Google Merchant Center to display the products, so it can basically show the product ads on YouTube. So and that was actually getting good conversions. So I was getting clicks and stuff from that. That would probably make sales go up 10 times. And that was active for a bit, and then they disabled it because they said that we think you're misleading people. Misrepresentation was what they flagged, and then I looked into it. So I didn't try hard to set it up the first time. So next time I scrubbed through and made sure all my there's all this other stuff, your shipping policy has to match, and you have to have a return policy and all these exceptions documented for what your return window is and stuff. And if there's a restocking fee. So I figured all this out and wrote something specific. And then I applied for an appeal, and then they denied the appeal. And then they kept just then I started looking for third party. There's these YouTube channels that are dedicated just to telling people how to get their Merchant Center accounts approved. And they talk about setting up an about us page and have all this like professional copy and stuff. So I would spend a week to do all that. And I did 3 appeals, and of course they already have all my banking information, my ID, business or incorporation documents and stuff. So they should know that it's not misrepresentation. But after 3 appeals, it was still denied. But so the Shopify store still works. You can go to the Shopify store, but the real challenge is getting people onto the store. We're all getting buried in a giant wave of slop. Yeah, hopefully there's, like in my opinion, the my use of AI, like the AI titles and stuff like that, like there's no I don't know, there's no nothing misleading about it. It's just a useful tool to illustrate a point. And for a lot of the images, one of the reasons it's so time consuming is I have to ask for I have to write the prompt, and then I have to tweak the prompt over and over again, and I'll have to generate 50 images sometimes to get an image that actually depicts what I'm trying to convey. But there is I have also seen for certain queries, if you search for anything about I searched one time for Karen's arguing, and that query for angry person arguing, it is pure 100% slop. It's almost impossible to find a real video, and it's kind of it's almost disturbing, because you watch these videos and there's these AI slop videos that are completely, they look 100% automated, and there's they have thousands of millions of views, and there's all these people arguing, being serve that person right, and there's these salacious stories about some person arguing about some minor injustice, about someone bumped into someone in the parking lot or something, and that's one level of pathetic when people are arguing about that on Facebook. But when it's all AI stories that never happened, and people are arguing and trying to adjudicate who's in the right here, who's in the right, who's in the wrong. That's why it was a story. It's a fake story that never happened. The AI slop mostly hasn't made its way into my algo yet, but I know it is for most people. Yeah, I think it depends what what you search for. Because the Hebrew words for Gentile is censored. Yeah, there's specific things. If you want to talk about swear words or the typical things you'd expect to be censored are not censored. There's a very specific list of things that are interestingly censored. You're fully aware of it. You're not taking it too serious. I have no problem with that. When you use it, if it's brimmed with irony, yeah, it's I'm not sure where we're headed. Like, it's going to get better and better. Actually, I was watching like, I guess up until the past year, I had interaction situations where I watched a video. I watched like maybe 4 seconds before I realized it was AI. And recently, within the last month, I was watching a video on YouTube, and I watched like 8 minutes of the video before I realized that it was a 100% AI generated video. It was like one of those talking head videos. And it was really good, but I was watching it for a while, and I realized it was the guy's head wasn't really moving a lot. I thought, that's weird. And I went onto the channel. I found it was yeah, every single one of the videos, he was in like the exact same spot in every one. I was like, that's a little bit sus. And it really did fool me at first, because the topic was something very specific about like real estate, the current state of the real estate market. And I thought, this is too niche to be something that they'd bother doing AI now, but I guess not. And there was actually a famous video of this like old man. I think probably a lot of people. It has like millions of views. Of like what I would tell people if I could go back. Like, I forget what it was. It was like, I'm 92 and here's my regrets or something. Some really good stuff that bringing Slump to another level, like the Gossip Goblin channel with the Cycles of Humanity. I'm not familiar with that. With this treasure I summon. I've seen one where a performance art dude mimics the movement of the trash on the street in the wind, and I was dumbfounded that it was actually not AI. Rag rats. Should I pay $100 for a course on compilers? I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, if it's a good course on compilers, if you really want to learn compilers, and you're interested in dropping money on a course, $100 for a course is pretty cheap, all things considered. But then again, there's a lot of information on compilers out there. You can probably Google it. I've seen AI deepfakes of Yanis Varoufakis. Scary stuff. Couldn't tell it was real. Wasn't real. Not sure who that is. Problem is that the real world is having such bonkers stuff happening right now. How are we supposed to question whether it's really happened or it's AI? Yeah, that's the other thing is, like, it's not just the AI. It's everything all at once now. And I was pretty skeptical of things before, but now that Alex Jones has been proven right about so many things, maybe I gotta take what he says, all the crazy stuff he says, more seriously. What language would you recommend for building a compiler for a custom lang? I actually think Java, Java's not a terrible choice for it. If you're if you're doing a compiler, you're going to be working with strings a lot, and you're going to be like moving around stuff in a buffer. I guess it depends. Like, are you hoping to make it super fast and efficient? Or do you want to make your development lifecycle easier and faster at the expense of a possibly slightly slower solution? If you want like faster development, I'd say to use like Java or something. Let's see, I can't remember. Have I written... I guess it depends how complicated the language is. Compiler for a custom lang. If it's just like if it's a fairly simple language, you could even use Python or something. But if the language is going to be more complicated, like if it's going to have a very complicated type system and stuff, and coercion rules and stuff, then you probably want something more strongly typed. And if the compiler reaches any significant size, I would shy away from anything that can have like memory like buffer overflows and maybe write the compiler in the language itself plus a bootstrap compiler. You could, but that'll be hard if it's not complete. The goal is to open myself to more opportunities. such as compiler engineering or ML compilers. To be honest, like if you're trying to make, if you know something that I don't, then keep doing what you're doing. But my guess would be like trying to pivot toward like getting considered for a role specifically in compiler development. That's a very competitive role. Like it's such a pure task. I think it's kind of akin to like there's a lot of people that want to learn about like unsolved mathematical problems, like the Millennium problems, the Riemann hypothesis, and unsolved conjectures. So they get a degree in pure math because it's just so satisfying and interesting. And then they kind of hope like, maybe I can get a job solving the Riemann hypothesis. But then they, in order to get actual work, usually the work is not as like pure. You're going to end up doing something that's applied, or like some kind of. Some of them will end up pivoting into accounting or something that's not quite what they envisioned. Because pretty much every student now goes through university, they learn how compilers work, because I guess it's so fundamental to software engineering. But the question is, how many people make a full-time salary writing a compiler? That the number of people whose like main career, the reason they were hired for being for expertise in compilers is probably quite small. I'm sure there's a handful of people that are sought out like at Microsoft and stuff, but they're probably like the top crazy people who have lots of experience in it. That's a very satisfied looking emoji there. World domination, now cause I can get behind it. Excellent. Yeah, if you want to know, actually I should update my link below. This it's the first video with the plans. There's a link in the description, and the I actually just today I released my most recent video. I got some more detailed plans. So if you want some more details on the plans, it's there. What would be done with the spoils from excavating the mountainous reservoir and underground spaces? Spoils. Well, I don't know. That's very optimistic to call them spoils. You end up with, hopefully you end up with high quality ore, and you can process the ore and extract the minerals. So I guess it depends what you're mining. Maybe rare earths, maybe gold. And then I guess your tailings, you got to do something with your tailings. Depends what's in the rock. Maybe you can use it for a construction aggregate. I think there's some tunnels where they do that, where they have this like integrated system where as soon as they excavate the material, they like pull it out and process it and turn it into like aggregate for the tunnel walls. Who are your most loyal subjects in your streams? It depends. Actually, Orthoplex is here pretty consistently. It seems like there are they're regulars, so there are people who will come in and they'll be here like every day for a little while, and then they like vanish and I don't see them, and then they'll stop by 60 days later. I used to be loyal. Yeah, that I ditched Robert. Yeah, it seems to be a common use pattern. You'll like discover someone's live stream and then watch it every day for a while because you're like, I wonder how this person works. And then once you figure them out, then you're like, they're boring now. Then you go move on to someone else. Or I guess also I think people go through periods where there's just like maybe they move to a new place or something, where they're kind of on a break and they have nothing to do, so they go on the internet and be parasocial for a while, and then their real life will change, so they'll be occupied with whatever's going on in their day-to-day life. Just subscribed. The video looks quite elaborate. Well done. Thank you. Hopefully someone picks up on some of those ideas. Homegrown wafers. Yep, for sure. I used to listen during work for ASMR. I started needing to be on the phone more often. Yeah, there's I guess probably all kinds of different reasons why people stop in and become regulars for a while. It doesn't feed us right. This parasocial setup. We have to get the real fix. Yeah, and the worst thing is now you don't even know if anything is AI. It could all be all fake. Robert Elder, the most wanted man in Canada. I don't know if I qualify for that. Okay, now let's figure out authorized block world connections. You're AI. I may be AI. Maybe I'm just simulated. Don't know myself. Five questions in and you have exhausted my dialogue table. Yep, that's the future we're living in. It's worse for me too, because you guys are just chat. Like, if you watch the stream long enough, you can probably, guess whether it's actually real or not. If you see like glitches and stuff. But for chat, it's just text. I got stabbed in the heart once and survived. That's a random thing to say. You television. You consistently say random things. Probably give it a try to compilers too after that. I do have many channels. I don't know how that statement relates to your previous statement. GTG, I hope you're already working on the next masterpiece. See you in a few months. Have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. What would you do? What would you do of your control of the world? I have a couple of videos that talk about my detailed plans. If you there's a link in the description that talks about that goes into detail on my world domination plans. And then actually I released a new video today that has even more detail. That flew over your head. Yes, it did. Got stabbed in the heart once and survived. I do have many channels. Yep, still don't get it. My ancestor once conquered the world. Who is your ancestor? I think the worst realization is that no one is all that much in control. We're all in free fall. Yeah, I think there's a small number of people that are like competing for control, and the masses are kind of just caught in between. Hey bro, do you think E is an alchemist magi who performed an insane body swap spell and all that stuff is still alive? I mean, I'm aware that there's rumors and like claims from people that supposedly support not necessarily alchemists, but like he was like removed from he was swapped out with someone who looked similar or something, but I don't have enough information and evidence like that's above my pay grade. There's so much stuff in those files and I don't know, that maybe there's even more stuff that'll come out in the future. Do you believe in black magic? I do not believe in magic. I believe that other people believe in magic. Right, let's see if that'll compile. What do you think about possessions? Like if a person gets possessed? That's like that's fiction. I think I saw, like, I remember as a teenager watching some horror movies about people getting possessed and zombie movies and stuff, but it's not a real thing. Isn't that interesting, though? I've gone into a rabbit hole regarding Western mysticism and hermeticism. The West has always been the best at producing magic and sorcerers. I know there's definitely lots of people who are into that stuff. I mean, it connects a lot to there's definitely an intersection between people who are very spiritual and people who believe in, like, metaphysical things that are not explained by science. So it's I mean, some of those explanations then involve things like for which you cannot construct a scientific experiment. So it's kind of hard to reason about it and argue about it. He's just good at producing monks and magi's. I think a lot of it comes down to there's like an evolutionary benefit to believing in those things. Rather, like, for example, like thousands of years ago, if you want people to stay away from poison ivy, you could say, like, it's the plant is cursed or something, instead of like explaining, like, to try and explain the metabolic pathway of, like, what happens when you touch poison ivy or something. That's too complicated and they don't have the science for it. But if you just say it's like, this plant has an evil spirit, don't touch it, it's cursed, it's just much easier to communicate. Be careful with those stuff. I will. Jesus is a necromancer that makes us eat his flesh for salvation. I I don't have any response to that. This is outside my area of expertise. Topics like these are a slippery slope. Yeah, it's I spend my time thinking about, world domination and block mining games. Not I have a chemist background. That's why I got into history of alchemy, because of the origin of the art of chemistry. It's literally alchemy. Yeah, Isaac Newton was trying to he was the original alchemist, or the original scientific alchemist. Enough schizo posting. Yeah, this is I think an adequate amount of schizo posting for the stream. I think I'll probably call it a day for today. Actually, I didn't accomplish very much today. I made it I slightly changed this, so made this map a little bit clearer. Added one more class. So in the next stream, I'm going to make a copy of basically these functions to create a map of the authorized client IDs, or authorized connection IDs, or no, authorized world connections. And then this thing will be responsible for launching the thread for the client. And that'll let me reduce some of the code duplication. Rob is now traumatized. Yep. What's he doing? I'm currently working on building a terminal-based video game, which you can, if you check the GitHub link in the description, there's some links to some videos on my channel that go into more detail on it. But anyway, that'll be it for tonight. We'll pick things up tomorrow for day 287. All right, have a good night.